Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Stonehearth. I don't know why, but for some reason I always kind of either want to call this game Hearthstone, off of the card game, or Hearthfire, which is, the Skyrim DLC. I always have trouble calling it Stonehearth, which is kind of funny. So, last episode we just got started on our first building, which, it's funny, I was saying how I wasn't going to do that, but then I kind of realized you do sort of need that, because if you don't, then your net worth is quite low. Yeah, as you can see, just having one, small building, look at how much that improves our worth just off of that. Yeah, you really don't get much worth purely off of inventory or anything like that. You really need a lot of buildings to get that up. So that's kind of how the game forces you to make nicer buildings and whatnot. Is it makes it so that that's kind of the primary way of getting worth. Okay, so as you can see, everyone's starving, so it's a darn good thing I got this agricultural thing started. Although, I don't know, as you can see, our farmer here is prioritizing, hoeing all the fields. I don't know, is hoeing the best word for it? There's probably a better term than hoeing. But they're prioritizing on that rather than actually planting. So one thing I'm going to want to do here is, well, okay, our trapper leveled up, so we should get a little bit more food off of that. But as you can see, there are some berries down here. So what I'm going to want to do is, if I go to here, I can make a ladder here, and then another one right here. And I'll have some people get some berries here, so that should help us out a little. It should prevent us from starving imminently. I do think it takes quite a while for someone to like get to the point where they actually start starving, so I'm not too worried, but hey, it's something I should definitely keep focused on. Oh, and as you notice though, even though I assigned that, in this game people tend to prioritize building projects based upon whatever was assigned first, not based upon whatever might be more useful. So as you can see, no one's bothering to make this yet, so once they're done removing all the scaffolding here, they should finally get started on that. Although another thing you can do, and it's a good thing, it took me a while to learn this, but you can actually pause the construction of a building. So if I just pause that right there, hopefully someone should get started on this. Maybe, if I'm lucky. Okay, a merchant has arrived, so let's see if they've got anything we want. I think this is the first merchant, or at least the first one I've talked to. So they've got some vests, some outfits. So this is something I probably really want. Actually, all of these I probably want, because this can help my soldier probably, and this will help a worker of mine work a little bit more efficiently. So I could try to find something to sell here. Yeah, as you can see, one of the things that makes us the most money is tools, so it's sometimes a good idea to make a lot of random tools, because you can sell those for quite a bit. Otherwise, I could sell some wood. I mean, we've got a lot of it. Yeah, that's one benefit about settling where I did, is that up here we've got so much wood available to us, whereas if I would have made our settlement like right here, sure, we would have had a lot of nice open space, but at the same time we wouldn't have that easy of access to wood, and it would obviously take us very, very long to haul it all. So that's one benefit of where I chose to stay. Yeah, that's good. I can sell pelts too for now, because we're probably not going to be getting anything like regarding leather making done anytime soon. That's the one good thing also about the trapper, is you can get a lot of pelts very early on, and otherwise it normally takes you a very long time. I'm going to buy that, and I think I'm going to buy the padded vest as well. And I've noticed that your people tend to equip things by themselves, so yeah, like that, our footmen automatically equip that, and then Linonon, whatever, equipped that by herself. Although you can see she's quite a bit faster just off of doing that one thing. So that definitely helped. Okay, someone finally made this one. Let's hope someone else can make the other one as well. Yeah, it's weird. I paused the construction of this, but as you can see, no one really stopped. So that was not very useful. You can definitely tell, and I've noticed just while playing this game, there's definitely some weird glitches and other things that you'll notice, but whatever. Okay, the one thing that needed is a sign, apparently, and I don't think your guy will construct it by himself. Yeah, your people aren't smart enough to do that, so what you have to do is you have to craft that first, and then you can make one of these. So I'm gonna actually make, like, 5 of these because I'm gonna want to put each of these, I think, on every like particular building we make, but you know, besides houses. So that'll help us a little. Although it's annoying me that someone left a log up here. So now I'll have to construct a ladder if I want someone to get rid of that. Okay, so this finally got done. So I'm gonna go to harvest, or gather, I think is the name of it. I'm gonna gather that. I'm gonna gather this stuff too, because the flowers you see across the map are, for the most part, they're all used for making medicine and whatnot, so that will be useful in the long run. We've got some more of this here too, so I'm gonna have people gather all that to hopefully stave off starvation a little bit, and maybe if we're lucky it can help us out when it comes to this little rating here, because I think we have to get that up to like 100 or something if we want the next... if we want a new citizen. So yes, I believe last episode I mentioned how I might be regretting hard mode, and the reason I say that is because I've noticed every time I've played this game, I'll make it till day like 15 or so, and I'll be doing fine, and then the game will just start hitting me with raids that are just completely like impossible for me to face. So I think to counteract that, I'm going to do the one thing I mentioned where I'll just assign someone to, you know, defending. I'll choose 2 people like Lion maybe and Pen, and I'll make them soldiers, but only when we're being attacked, basically. So I think that's one thing I'll do. And then another thing I'm going to do is, one thing I never made in the previous times I played was, let's see here. I think I have to go to construct. Yeah, you do. And if I go to custom here and design home building, you can see all these little things I can place, and I can make a freestanding wall. And I think that's what I'm going to want to do, is I'm going to want to section off. And that's also the reason why I chose to stay here, is because I'm thinking I could just section off this area here, as well as this area here, and then maybe I could just section off part of this ladder, so then we'll be more or less completely defended from any possible direction of raids, because I don't think, from what I can tell, the monsters can't just like climb up a regular cliff face or climb down. So they're forced to basically attack us from here, here, or down here. So if I make some freestanding walls here and here, that should I think maybe save us. So that's what I'm going to probably do. So those are my 2 counteractions. I don't know if that's a good word for it. But those are the 2 things I was thinking of doing to try to prevent me from dying quite as quickly. So yeah, everyone's getting some nice berries now so they don't starve, so that's good. Yeah, because crops do grow quite quickly, but not quite quick enough, I think. So yeah, that was a good idea for me. And because farmers can't do much besides farming, I think once this is done, at least, I'll make some more fields for our little farmer here. Okie dokie. Yeah, we do seem to be getting quite a bit of furs and whatnot from these guys. Also, I don't know if anyone else notices this, but, well, I'll find it out. Okay, if you read the description of, like, the trappers, it's funny because it almost, I think you can tell one of the people that was on this game was like might be like a vegan or a vegetarian, and the only reason I say that is because whenever they describe, like, the killing of the animals, they always use it in, like, very weird terminologies, if that makes sense. Like, you can tell they're very touchy about it, if that makes sense. Although, admittedly, this game, although it deals with, you know, death and whatnot, it definitely has sort of a... It deals with it in a very, like, cartoonish manner, so I guess that you could also say that's why. They might be trying to make this game E for everyone, so they're trying to be very, like, touchy and whatnot with different subjects that a game like RimWorld would be a lot more harsh on. Okay, so what else do I want to make? Yeah, those signs are still being made, so I believe this is probably... Yeah, this is finally done. So that's cool. Carpenter leveled up again, so that's good, because I think we can make some more things. Yeah, I'm going to make one of these. We need stone, though, so I'll deal with that in a little bit. So I do want to make more of these just for maybe selling. I'll do that right away. I'm also going to make some large crates, and you'll see why in a little bit. And I think we don't have a shield yet, do we? So I'm going to make a shield, actually, as a number 1. Because then this person will equip a shield, and that'll help her out when it comes to combat quite a bit. Actually, to be honest, I can undeploy this right here. Oh, and we're getting invaders. So, where are they coming from? Stoneling? Yeah, they're coming from down here. So, like I said, that's why I want to make a wall like here and here. It'll give us a little bit more defenses and whatnot. Alright, so let's see how our... Do you know what? I'm going to do the same thing I did last time just to make my life a little easier. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to send everyone over here, so... Because if I don't do this, I'm fairly certain our one meleeer will get killed. And I don't feel like assigning other people to meleeing quite yet. So let's just see if that's good enough for us. Yeah, the music kind of reminds me of, like, the early Final Fantasies and, like, other RPGs on, like, the SNES and whatnot. Maybe that's just me, though. Alright, so there's that all done with. So, yeah, Actually, you can also just press R to undraft people or whatever. So that's a good thing to do. Alright. So, yeah, that should be good then. Why is everyone still... Okay, wait, what? Okay, why is everyone just standing around? I guess I don't have anything else assigned, do I? Oh, one thing you can do, I've noticed, is you can actually... Well, later on we'll be able to actually, like, plant certain things like this in our own fields. But you can actually sort of move it so that you can make sure you've got all these items closer to your base, which, I don't know. It feels a little too, like, cheap. Okay, so yes, I think I mentioned we saw that we needed stone. So the way you get stone is you go to this little mine thing. And there's 2 whole menus that are devoted just to mining. So I'm going to do something that I did last time I played the game, and I thought it was pretty effective. So I'll do it again, just because I think it worked out pretty well. Now, there's nothing too crazy or interesting, as far as I can tell, when it comes to mining. Like, in other games of this sort, I think Dwarf Fortress, and there was this one game that I played in the past called Towns, and it was very similar to this one, but it was like it had like sprites and whatnot, so it wasn't 3D like this. But whenever you mined, you actually had the chance of coming across like dungeons, and as far as I can tell, I don't know if they're ever planning on implementing it, but there's no such thing as like dungeons as far as I can tell. Either that or I've just done such a piss poor job mining so far that I've never come across one, but yeah, I'm fairly certain there's no such thing as like dungeons or anything. I did notice if you try exploring the map, you can sometimes come across like special enemies and whatnot, but I don't really want to try that out right now considering we have only one meleeer and they're kind of terrible. So yeah, in order to see in here better, I'll do the slice menu here, so that helps us out quite a bit. So now that we're mined in a little bit here, I'm going to make a huge area here. And as you can see, this is all just dirt. It's not stone. If I go out of here, you can see this is all stone here. So right now we're not really finding any stone, which is what we use. Although you still do get like a couple drops of like clay and stone. You just don't get quite as much of it as you would if you did something, or if you were actually digging into the real stone. We don't get as many item drops. We do still get a little bit. So I'm going to let that get done. It'll probably take a while, and I just noticed that there was a thing about a trader, so we can go to here. Alright, here's another thing. The game sort of has weird trader deals. Like, there's traders like we had earlier where you can sort of buy and sell whatever you want, but sometimes there's these ones that will ask for something specific. In this case, this guy wants 5 farmer hose, and he'll give us 1 large crate in exchange, which that sounds completely like a terrible deal. Because a farmer hose are worth like 50 gold if we were to sell them to a regular trader, and a large crate is probably worth like 3. So no, I'm not going to accept that one. Sometimes you can get really good deals, but that was like the worst deal I've seen, so I'm not going to let that happen. Okay, so you'll notice I'm making crates here. So the reason I'm making crates is we're going to place those down. And also, our crafter has gotten good enough now that he will randomly create fine objects. The thing that's annoying with fine objects is, as you can see, they do look a little different, but the problem with that is, when you make a fine object, I've noticed, the game is kind of weird, and it will it'll sort of... How do I put this? It'll make the fine object... Okay, let me just put those two there. The fine object, when you're making a building, it doesn't allow you to exchange fine objects with regular objects. So unless you specifically call for a fine object when you're designing the building, you can't just easily exchange the two, which is really annoying to me. Alright, we've got 2 more, I think. Or are those just deployed? I think those are 2 more. Okay, our trapper leveled up again. So I'm going to make those 2 there, and you can probably tell what I'm going to be doing. As you've probably seen, our crafter has been moving stuff all the way from here to here. And it is pretty close, so it's not that bad. But if I want to be really efficient, it would make a lot more sense to just do this, wouldn't it? So I'm going to do none here, and I'm going to make it so that he only puts construction, and I think tools too. I'll do that for now. And then in here, it's only going to be resources. So that will make our job a lot easier. And I think I'm going to remove that temporarily just so that people start hauling a couple resources over to these barrels, but then I'll re-enable it for this once this gets done. I just want this to get filled with raw resources for now. So yes, let's check on our miners' progress. They're getting pretty decently mined in here. Yeah, I do really love just watching these people progress, just because, no offense, but compared to RimWorld, I just think it's a lot more fascinating watching people work in like a 3-dimensional environment rather than just seeing 2D sprites, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. That's just me, though. So, one thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I think I should make some outside walls, and it might seem a little too early, but I'm going to get started on it right away. So, going to go to this, freestanding walls. And one thing you'll notice is you can make walls out of different materials, so we've got a lot of wood, and we could get more stone. I'm not sure how much we have right now, to be honest. Alright, our edibles, we're slowly getting edibles, but we don't have enough for a new citizen yet. Yeah, that's the one thing that's bad about not choosing a hoe right away, is that your farmers tend to not be quick enough. Like, by the time you start getting farming, you're probably not going to get a new citizen for quite a while, which really sucks for you. But, anyways, yes. Rather than going on tangents, let's just do this. Oh yeah, I was going to see if we had stone. Okay, let's see. Do we have stone? We got 5 only, so... really don't have enough to make anything out of stone yet. I think stone is technically stronger, but I don't really know. Like I've said, I've never even made exterior walls. I know that the bad guys can beat down doors, but I'm not sure if they can beat down walls. I've never even tried it yet, so that's one of those things where I'm not even sure. So you know what? For now, we've got so much wood. Let's just do that. So I think I want to go in this view. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, this is really boring to watch. But I just want to make sure this is nice and... Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry for not even commenting over this very well. I'm just trying to focus. So, yes. And I have a very hard time counting while I'm doing this, if you can't tell, or at least counting and commentating. But yeah, it's too bad there's not an easier way of doing this, as you might imagine. Because the way it works is you sort of pick 2 points, and then it builds a single freestanding wall. And I'm not sure how far you can make them. I guess I'll try the next one, because I noticed you can make them in small segments, which makes it look, you know, more like real walls. But... but I rather would have them section off like this, like you'd see in a real town. At least when it comes to something like wood walls. So that doesn't even matter because it's so short. So that'll get done eventually. And I think I'm going to make the next one right here. So I want to see, can I just make it... Oh, you can make it the maximum length. So that would be a smarter thing to do. I'll just make it the maximum length possible. And then I don't have to spend, like, a minute stalling for time. That might be smart. So this might take a very long time to do. You know what? Let me... Oh yeah, I forgot. It's actually building both of these as the same wall. Or no, it's not. Never mind. Sometimes even if you make objects separated, it seems like it'll still consider them both as being part of the same building, but not in this case. Okay. Oh. Yeah, I have to make sure I press the finish button first. So, finish editing and build. Yes, start building. So as you can see, this one here will take 7 stone, or 7 wood, so that actually doesn't take very much wood at all. So I'll start this one first because it's a little bit smaller. So that's one thing good too, is you can design a building before actually crafting it, so we don't actually have to start on these walls yet, and I can technically pause the building of them at any time I so choose. But for now, I'll just try building one. Although as you can see, it takes very quick to make them. It's a hell of a lot quicker than it was for those. I think one thing I could do if I want to be smart, I'll take down the walls here, or the trees here, right at the edge of the wall, and then we can just use those to fuel the resources. Because I think otherwise we're going to have to go back for more wood sooner or later. Oh, and as you can see, these idiots trapped themselves outside. So that's not very smart of them. So I'm going to want to do that, perhaps. I think I'll have to make my own special little... Yeah, I'll just let them finish this, because they'll be able to get this done, I think, without being too angry. So I'll make sure they get enough wood to finish this off, and then I think I have to make my own special ladder. Otherwise, they'll be trapped outside forever, like the idiots they are. Alright, yeah, let's do that. They're almost done, yeah, you can see it was very quick and easy to do. So now, because they were stupid, I'm gonna have to make my own ladder. I'll just wait for them to be completely done. I'll also let them finish cutting those trees down, just because I want to have... Technically, I don't think anyone can, like, use a tree to jump over to the other side, but I think when it comes to regular town walls, you usually don't want to place a huge, massive tree right next to it. Kind of defeats the point of the wall. Alright, and we're going to have to make these ladders, otherwise my people are trapped there forever. So there we go. Alright, so now they're finally done with the wall. It didn't take too long at all. I don't know why I didn't start making walls sooner in a different Let's Play. Oh, you are stupid. Why did you do that? Technically, they can remove ladders from on tops. I've seen them do it before. But I don't know why. I think they're just trying to haul this wood here is the problem. Okay, whatever. I'll just ignore that for now. Like I said, we don't have to really worry about this quite yet. We don't have to worry about having walls right now, but I think we will in the future. Alright, so... unfortunately, we made just too little food, so we're not going to get another Earthling yet. Which is very unfortunate. I think we should the next time, because we are generating a lot of food here. Yeah, they're all... Most of these things are all ripe now. I think I'll grow some more carrots even. Yeah, like I said, I'm going to make some more stuff, I think. Alright, more invaders. This might seem like overkill, but you really do need a lot of food, especially after we get our first Earthling. The requirements for food get a little crazy, so we're definitely going to need a lot. Alright, so another little raid is coming through, or I should say invasion. Oh yes, and one thing you'll notice, the trapper can actually befriend wildlife after a while, so now we've got this cute little fox who is our friend. So that's why he's here. Okay, so where in the heck are these people? Oh, over here. Oh yeah, as you can see, we've got a quite large thing compared to the previous invasions, this Varanus, whatever that is. And then it says, and this is the smaller variety, and I'm afraid to think of what the larger variety is, because I've never seen the larger variety. So, that scares me a little. So let's send this guy back here, because otherwise I'm pretty sure she will get completely slaughtered. So yeah, as you can see, all the people that aren't combatants, they run away a lot, but it's still useful when it comes to the early raids, because as you can see, this is still helping us quite a bit. You know, we're doing a lot more damage than we could with just one person individually. Yeah, I don't know though. I think it might be a bad idea to have to make someone a footman and then not make them one over and over again. I'm thinking that maybe these walls alone might be good enough, and what I will do instead then is, if you look in the, let's see if I can find it. You look in the change jobs things, I can promote them to an archer, so I think what I could do is I can take advantage of the walls, and then I can just make like a little sort of defensive tower. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing, is make like a little defensive tower and then put all my archers up there towards the town walls. I mean, that's technically how a regular town would defend themselves, so I think that would be a lot more useful than trying to do what I was before, or when I played the game earlier, because what I would try to do is I just made regular footmen that had to beat everything across the head alone, and I think it might be a better idea to go the ranged route, especially considering we can make walls, you know? Probably a better idea. Also, I've noticed, because I made these, the farmer seems to always prioritize making more fields before harvesting crops that are already there, so I'm going to delete those for now. Because I don't want to, because technically if you leave something ripe for too long, it'll spoil, so I want to make sure that doesn't happen. Okay, 7 wooden, no, that's that's even worse than the last one. What's wrong with these traders? They're trying to screw me over so badly. Oh yeah, and for these things that enemies drop, you have to actually loot them. They don't just drop it by them, or you can't just take it, or you can't, how should I say this? You can't expect your colonists to take it by themselves. You have to actually tell them whether or not they should take those items, even if they're right next to your base. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do here is I'll re-enable this, just because these are all nice and full now. So something else I should do is see what else I can make here. I can make that eventually. I need leather, though. So I think perhaps more housing might be in order. That actually might be a good idea. But let me take a look at some of my different things. Now, the game does come with 2 sort of pre-built houses, but personally I find them to be way too small. Although I never did try this one. This one might actually be a good idea. The one-person house is way too small in my opinion, but this one actually does seem decently sized, but it is for 2 people. I think I might make these default ones, because I did make my own custom one, as you can see here. That's just because it takes a snapshot depending on the wall mode you have at the time, so that's why this looks really weird. But yeah, that's how that looks. So I think that looks pretty... The small home looks pretty decent, as you can see. It's basically the size of the 2-person home, but I just made 1 person live there. But I think that's really inefficient, so I think this would actually be a better idea. Actually, they look almost exactly the same, don't they? I didn't even do that on purpose. Oh no, there we go. That's what it looks like. Okay, I was gonna say, that looks way too similar. That's because they were the same thing. Okay, that's the house I made. I kind of want to make the default one, though, because then I can at least house 2 people at one time. And if you haven't noticed, they do actually use the same bed, so even though we only have 1 bed, you don't need to have everyone have individual beds, because they don't sleep too long anyways. Like, they don't spend 6 hours out of the day sleeping. They spend basically however long they feel like sleeping for. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna make at least 1 house. At the very least, it'll keep my crafter and whatnot busy, because right now they're not really doing much of anything. So let's do that. If anything, it'll add some value to my little colony here, or settlement, I guess would be a better word for it. So this will add some value. That's the thing with housing, is it adds a lot of value, like I've already mentioned. So we're gonna want to add 1 of those. And otherwise, we're kind of just want to keep getting more of this. Oh yes, and I forgot. This is not done yet, surprisingly. Yeah, you can tell I've kept my people busy. They haven't even finished this. So as you can see, we've started finding... Oh, we found gold veins, actually. That's really surprising. I never found, like, a vein of ore this, like, short into a mountain. Like, usually you have to be, like, into the stone, I think, to find a lot of ores, so we got really lucky there. Alright, so we're letting this get done slowly but surely. I like how they light the fire every night, too. I don't know why, it just looks kind of cool. Oh, and if I want to see inside the housing, I can do this. So, yeah. The one thing that's weird, though, is... I don't know if you can notice this, but when you go into this mode, it makes the scrolling really jagged. Like, it's not lag, it's just weird, like, jaggedness. So, this is the best choice because it doesn't cause that weird jaggedness. I don't know if you guys can see that at all. You know, like here it's fine, but here it gets really weird and like kind of jagged, but then this is fine as well. It's kind of weird. Okay, our farmer just leveled up, so that's very good. It'll make them harvest a lot quicker. Yeah, that'll help us out a lot. I'm thinking we should have enough food for the next thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we should. Oh, I think we need 50, so as long as we can keep it above 50, we should be good. But yeah, I think we're in the clear. So we should get a new colonist when the morning arrives. Yeah, we're already on day 5, as you can see, though. And as I said, it was about day 15 where I usually died, so hopefully that doesn't happen, but hey, this game is definitely, like a lot of games like this, it's a big learning process, you know? You can't expect to be perfect at the game right away. And we are on hard mode, so I'm gonna get started on this as well, this extra wall here. It'll also probably add a bit of extra value. And I'm gonna pause this building here, because this is a nice building and all, but yeah, I think as long as we have 2 extra beds, that should help my colonists a little, or my settlers. Yeah, 2 extra beds should really help out moods. And that's, as you can see, that's something I've really not been focusing on, although everyone's more or less in a content mood. We've got a couple people that are glum, but for the most part, no one's too salty. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same thing over here that I did on the last one. I'm going to harvest all the trees that are right next to the wall, just because, I don't know, seems to make sense to me. Alright, and I think I'm going to end this episode here, so thank you all for watching, hope to see you next time, and goodbye.